nuclear stocks entering 2025 on a high as big tech continues to invest in new sources of energy to meet those AI-powered demands. NANO Nuclear Energy, a nuclear company working to develop portable microreactors, they IPO'd in May of last year. It soared more than 300% since. Here to discuss what's next for the firm, we've got James Walker, NANO Nuclear's CEO. James, we've been speaking a lot with executives and analysts about the outlook under Trump 2.0. I'm curious, what policy are you most interested in getting clarity on in the weeks to come from the incoming administration?
So I think your previous guest talked about there's a lot of enthusiasm for nuclear at the moment, but I think the thing that the industry is waiting to see what will develop will be on the regulatory side. Will there be new frameworks that the NRC will implement to allow for more advanced technologies to undergo a different form of assessment to allow them to license products in a different way, more applicable frameworks to get products out to market a bit quicker. And obviously we're seeing, we've already seen pressure coming from government on the regulator to try and reform it, to modify the way it assesses reactors, and to get it out to market. But I think that's the principal thing that a lot of developers are actually looking at the moment.
How confident, James, that you're going to get clarity on this? And I guess as you try to navigate what exactly that's going to look like, how do you then incorporate that just from a strategy standpoint?
Well, we have to anticipate that nothing will change. And so as a company, we will act as if, it is the status quo. Obviously, if there is change, then obviously we will take advantage of that, as will everybody else. We do anticipate there will be change that will benefit us and all the other developers. But in the meantime, the most sensible and pragmatic way to go about running a company is to assume nothing will change, and that the current way that reactors get licensed and get commercialized as products is the way it's been done before and the way we'll have to do it. But obviously, there's certain motions underway. You see actions coming from even the individual states pushing for the implementation of nuclear in divergent and new ways. So the market this year should be very interesting, and certainly, even if you look at the long term of nuclear, there's going to be a lot of investment over a long period of time going into this sector, and that's obviously going to have an increasing amount of pressure on the regulator to not get backlogged, to be able to license these products and get them out to market.
A lot of that investment that you mentioned is coming from those large cap, big tech names, the hyperscalers that are really investing in ways to meet the AI demand in terms of energy that we are seeing. What are you hearing from tech executives about the longevity of that demand for nuclear?
So it's interesting, obviously it's known now that the US is going to have a huge increase in the amount of power. I mean, not just for data centers, but just for the country in general, reindustrialization, electrification. But no one's really talked about why it has to be nuclear for the tech industry. And what it comes down to is that tech needs a lot of baseload power. And the highest capacity factor, so really the most consistent form of power, is nuclear power, because the downtime these data centers can tolerate on an annual basis is very small, minutes at some points. So nuclear can provide that consistent power, and a lot of it. And the advantage is it can do it anywhere. So it has an advantage. You can put a nuclear power station wherever you want, and then you have 20, 30 years of consistent baseload power that can just power these centers. You can't say the same for any of the renewables, wind, solar, geothermal, hydro. They're very locationally dependent. You can't put these things where you want. They might need big land footprints, big storage facilities. The reason why net tech has gone all in on nuclear is because it is the solution. It is the only real solution long term. But in the meantime, they'll look for anything that they can do to power themselves. It'll be gas, it'll be clean coal, it'll be anything like that.
James, what does the growth trajectory look like for investors that are trying to get a better grasp on the industry? It's very complex. I was just going through some of the patents that you recently acquired. So many people are calling some of those moves or recent deals a game changer here for your business specifically. But I guess when we're trying to get a better sense of that growth trajectory, what does that look like?
So it's interesting. So it's going to be a long-term investment into nuclear. You're going to see a lot of growth, and it's going to be year by year increase. And I say that because the US is in a period now where it is reindustrializing for nuclear. So the Department of Energy is reinvesting a huge amount of money back into the country to build back nuclear infrastructure. And that's to enable us to, as a country, to be able to mass manufacture fuel. And when we were able to do that, then you can mass manufacture reactors. So towards the end of this decade, when you start producing those small modular reactors and microreactors, and they're being commercialized, that's going to be the beginning of it. And then it's going to start ramping up from there. So towards the end of this decade, you're going to see a big increase in the amount of nuclear power within the country. And that's only going to get bigger as you can get economies of scale and you can mass manufacture these systems. So and these data centers are going to need power for a long period of time. So it's fair to say that the ramp up is going to continue from now very quickly up until the end of this decade, and then from there to the 2040s to the 2050s, that's going to be the most consistent form of baseload power that's going to provide energy for these big data centers.
All right, James, great to have you here on Yahoo Finance. James Walker, CEO of NANO Nuclear. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.